Today in Cannabis News, the once minority leader of the Arkansas State House begins a drive to place cannabis legalization on the state ballot in 2022. A recent survey reveals that cannabis legalization has a higher favorability rating in Maryland than its state senators and U.S. President Joe Biden. And as Halloween nears, state attorneys general throughout the U.S. issue advisories on misleadingly labeled cannabis edibles. It's Thursday, October 28th, and this is your Trichomes Morning Buzz.
Broadcasting live from the Trichomes.com studios in Southern California. It's time for your Morning Buzz. We bring you late-breaking news that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the cannabis industry.
First up, Eddie Armstrong, a once Democrat lawmaker and minority leader in the Arkansas State House of Representatives, is spearheading a drive to place cannabis legalization on the state ballot in 2022. As per a report issued to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Armstrong's intention is to put a bill on the voter ballot next year that will allow the regulated sale of adult-use cannabis in the state. The bill's wording is still to be submitted to the Secretary of State. Meanwhile, a coalition of advocates with Arkansas True Grass have been collecting signatures for a ballot measure in 2022 that would establish a controlled commerce framework for adults 21 years or older, permitting them to buy a maximum of 4 ounces of cannabis and cultivate a maximum of 12 plants for cannabis consumption.
Next up, as Maryland state legislators attempt to implement cannabis policy reforms in 2022, a recent Goucher College poll finds that a large 60% majority of the population supports the reform. This means that legalizing cannabis is currently more favored in the state than its senators and President Joe Biden. However, though cannabis legalization received greater backing than President Biden at 53% and both Democratic senators at about 45%, the widespread backing is 7% below than when state residents were polled back in March. There is a significant political party divide on cannabis legislation, with 48% of Republicans supporting the reforms versus 65% of Democrats and 63% of independents. Maryland's Republican Governor Larry Hogan received a higher approval rating than cannabis legalization at 68%.
Last up, with Halloween around the corner, attorney generals from states throughout the U.S., such as New York, Connecticut, Ohio, and Arkansas, are cautioning parents regarding illegal cannabis items that look like familiar sweets and foods, including Doritos, Sour Patch Kids, and Fruity Pebbles, which they say may potentially confuse children and result in inadvertent impairment. Though stressing that they're not implying that individuals are purposefully giving away cannabis edibles on Halloween, authorities have lately published warnings concerning spuriously advertised cannabis consumables. These look-alike cannabis products are unregulated, unsafe, and illegal, said Connecticut Attorney General William Tong. Accidental cannabis overdoses by children are increasing nationwide, and these products will only make this worse. Proponents are united in the strive to protect youngsters from accidental cannabis ingestion, long working against the dramatized cannabis Halloween stories that have generated throughout the years. But the message from the Attorney Generals appears to be primarily directed at unlawful producers in this instance, rather than suggesting that cannabis is being intentionally provided to kids.
That was today's Buzz. Thanks for listening. For more cannabis news and insights from industry professionals and a place to discuss these stories and others, visit Trichomes.com.
And be sure to catch up with all of our other cannabis industry-related podcasts like Hash It Out, Tech in Cannabis, or the International Cannabis Conversation wherever you get your podcasts. For Trichomes.com, I'm Devin Leal.
And I'm RJ Balde, signing off.